It's click the bell.
Click the bell.
Not with the thumb.
No, without the thumb.
And subscribe.
And subscribe, please. But ding it, please don't forget. Ding that bell. You got to do that at least. She insists on having like a bucket, right, with this little portable toilet seat. And she just gets such a kick out of like handing him to me.
I said, oh my goodness, this might be the solution to our problem. I presented it to my husband and he said, no way. He doesn't understand the vision. It just feels better, it looks better, and the flow seems to suit us better.
Hi, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm up near Chicago and I've been doing a van remodel on a Ford Transit. And I'm wrapping it up and Christina is gonna get on camera and talk to us about her van life and why they purchased a van, and then we're gonna give you a look around.
Hi, my name is Christina and I had the pleasure to work with Jonnie. She came and helped us with a remodel. This is our Ford Transit 2017 250. We did this back in 2018. We did a lot of mistakes, but we had another person with us, our youngest son, and so we built it out for him as well. He's graduated high school since, and so we needed to revamp everything here, and I reached out to Jonnie and she was quick to respond and came up and has done a wonderful job. So let's come along and look inside and see what Jonnie's done. Back in 2017 in the fall, we had just traveled all summer long with our son's baseball team. He was in high school at the time and he was on a national baseball team. So we were traveling from Arizona all the way to Georgia, to Michigan, Ohio, and back. And so we had done several summers like that throughout the years, and it was very difficult for many reasons. One of them would be just sitting in a car all day long trying to get to our destination, stopping halfway. Sometimes we'd just take a nap in the car. Sometimes we would actually get a hotel room. Just depends. Then we'd get to our destination and we'd have to get a hotel room for the weekend. And we found that every bed was different, every pillow was different, and we weren't sleeping comfortably. We had to eat out all day long for days on end, and that was hard on us. And so we did this for many years, probably a good 6 years, 5-6 years. And one day it just dawned on me. I said, boy, it would be nice if we had like an RV. And so I talked to my husband and he said, no, it won't work because our son plays baseball. And he said in the baseball fields to try to find parking for an RV, that can be very challenging sometimes. So that wouldn't work. And so, and then the following year I try to say, man, I wish we had something where we could travel more comfortably and maybe not have to use hotels as much and stuff. So, it was just a thought that would rumble in my mind. And then one day I came across a video on YouTube, and it was about camper vans. And I said, oh my goodness, this might be the solution to our problem. So I presented it to my husband and he said, no way. Absolutely not. He said, I do not want another car. And he shut it down right away. So I was like, oh my goodness, he doesn't understand the vision. So I started gathering videos that I felt explained what this really is. And I started kind of selling it to him. Hey, if it's a van, we can park it into any spot. We wouldn't need a double spot. We can travel comfortably. Look at all the different things that we can do in the van. That still wasn't convincing enough. So then I said, all right, let's go through the numbers. How much do we spend in hotels and in food every time we travel? So my husband's an engineer by profession, so he loves numbers. So he quickly was able to give that number. And I said, all right, so now let's go through the numbers of what it would be to purchase a cargo van. All of this was very foreign to him. He had no idea what this was about. So then we started pricing out vans, and we started pricing out what, material would cost and such. So then we started doing the math. And once he saw that we actually would probably at that point building out the van, purchasing and building out the van, our son was going into freshman year. We did the 4 years, what that would cost us every summer. And he said, you know what? It would be a wash, but we would have the vehicle. And then we can sell the vehicle because we'll be done with baseball. So we're kind of making an investment and we'll get some of our money back. So it made financial sense, and that's what sold my husband as well. So once we went through the numbers and all of that, so I was in charge of kind of heading this project up. And I know nothing about vehicles, about building, or anything like that. So I started watching a lot of YouTube channels, a lot. I mean, I was, doing this. This was like my full-time thought at that point, because this is the fall of 2017, and come May, May of the following year, if we didn't have a vehicle ready, well, we were going to be back in the situation of traveling and hotels and eating out all the time. So I did have a time limit to get this all done. So I started researching, and then the big deal was trying to find a cargo van. I live in the Chicagoland area, and they were extremely expensive in my area. We couldn't afford it. Well, one came up in Ohio, in northern Ohio, and so it fit the bill. It gave us everything we needed, and so we decided. My husband went out for it, and they test drove it and all of that. My son-in-law went with him, and he's a mechanic, so he was able to test some things, and we purchased it. They drove it back, and now came the biggest problem that we weren't anticipating: finding someone to build it out. And that was so stressful because we couldn't find anyone. We looked and asked everyone we knew. The only people we could find at the time in 2018, this was like the month of February, were people that built homes. And we tried, and we finally had to just go with home builders. And so the build out came out like home builders would build it, and it was not efficient. Things are crooked. You have all these curves, so they never cut wood to fit curves like this in a van. So it was a huge challenge, and it was winter on top of it. So Chicago winters, it's below zero, there's snow and what have you. This was a huge challenge to find someone to do the electric. We couldn't find anyone. Now, granted, we could go to some of these big outfits, like companies that do this professionally, and I did call a couple that are around here, and they had never built out a van. They had done some custom things to cars, but they never did a full build out. So we were going to pay an astronomical amount of money for people that really were going to practice on our van. And quite frankly, when they gave us a quote, we couldn't afford it. So we were getting very worried that we were going to have this shell of a van come May when the season started and not be able to use it for what we wanted it. And so we ended up hiring some people that just built homes. And we did the best that we could for the time frame that we had and for the resources we had and what we could find in our area. Okay, so we finished the van and we took off. It was down to the deadline. We took off, and it wasn't perfect, and I didn't even paint it. Nothing. It was just we had to go. And that's when our whole family found the value in the camper van. it blessed us way past what we thought. It was the best idea we could have done. We were able to not only travel and get to our destinations with way more comfort, we're able to cook on the road, stop, have lunch on the road. We didn't have to eat drive through all weekend, and we were able to save a lot of time that way and a lot of money. Then we got to our destination and we're sleeping in the comforts of our home because we made the beds to suit what we liked and what we preferred. We had our own pillows. We had the mattress that we wanted, and the depth of the foam that we wanted, and all of that. And it was like sleeping in our home. And we had a coffee pot, and we'd wake up to coffee. And we were able to just sometimes we slept in the parking lots of where our son was going to play that day. So we didn't have any travel time. We didn't have to worry about traffic getting to the location from the hotel. Most hotels were far from where my son was playing. And then they don't stay at the same baseball field. They'll bounce around within that area. And so we're able to follow him around and not say, oh boy, well, today's baseball field is an hour away. No, we're able to go, stay close by, and feel refreshed. Well, if any of you have ever been to long days of baseball, you know that you fight the weather. There's rain, there's lightning, and a game can be on pause for 2 hours. And what do all the parents do? We're exhausted. We go in our car and we lay down and try to take a nap because we don't know if, in 30 minutes we'll be able to play, or will it take 2 hours before the last lightning, was seen. So that you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't go back to your hotel to rest or anything like that. Well, what we would do is it's blazing hot out. We would turn the AC on while the game is going. And if they're between games, we'd come into the van. Our son, who was in the sun all day, would cool off. We'd wash our face. We'd have a snack, and we'd take a nap. Because maybe we only have 45 minutes between the games. Most parents have to go and get something to eat, so they don't have time to rest. Well, we were able to eat, freshen up, and rest. And it was like we slept all night and we had fresh energy again. We didn't anticipate those little things. And that just seemed to make the whole experience 100 times better. So that's what brought us to the camper van. And so our experience in baseball improved tremendously. Well, then out of baseball season, I do all the shopping at home, and sometimes I'd go to further places. Well, I have a van with a refrigerator in it, and if I was going to do some grocery shopping and wanted to do other errands, I would just put the groceries in the refrigerator, and I didn't have to worry about that, anything frozen, thawing out, and this and that. So that was my little perk. And then when we homeschooled at the time, there were places that I would have to take my son, and he would be able to do his homework in the car comfortably. I was able to make lunch for us if we were gone for the day, things like that. It benefited us even in our daily life outside of baseball. And then there were times where one of us got sick on the road. Well, guess what? There's a bed, and we don't have to be suffering, sitting up. We could lay down and all of that. So it even helped with those things. Well, then COVID hit. There's no baseball. So our van sat in terms of using it that summer. My son it was his junior year, and we didn't get to use the van that summer. And so that was fine. No one expected that to happen. So that was 2020. Well, December of 2021, my husband and I got very sick from COVID, and my husband got deathly sick from COVID. And one of the things that the camper van helped us with is when we would go, to a doctor's appointment that was further away, he was able to lay down if he needed. We were able to eat, but we were able to eat in the van. He didn't have to expose himself to anything that was going on outside, but he was able to eat comfortably in the van and be safe and sheltered in the van, and then lay down when he needed to, as we were doing the different things that we needed to do. So it actually opened up opportunities for him to come out of the house and be comfortable and safe. And that was like a huge blessing for that. We also, another thing that we didn't anticipate. And so we have come to enjoy the van way more than just the convenience of baseball. Way more. It has really provided some security, it has provided some comfort, and it has provided some shelter, despite the fact that we have a home. But it has done that for us, for my husband and I, and for my son. And so here we are. My son graduated, got recruited, and is playing for a Division I university. And so what we didn't anticipate when we first purchased the van was that we were also going to be using it for baseball after he was done with high school. And last year was our first season, and we did winter and spring because they start in February, and he goes to a school here in the Midwest. And so we were in the winter elements and in the spring elements. And so we put our van to the test for the winter. And boy, was that another just cocoon of warmth and comfort for us, because we would be in 30-degree weather, and we would come in here and we would have this place toasty, and when we were out there, we're like, we could use another layer of pants. Well, guess what? All we had to do was go in the van and put one on. I was able to make soups and warm teas and things like that to keep us warm. It just really helped us a lot to stay warm, to stay healthy, to stay comfortable. And the whole time that we saw our son play, 90% of the time we slept in parking lots at Walmart. That's where we slept, because no campgrounds are open up this way because it's winter. So we slept in the parking lot of Walmart, and that was great. It really suited us well, and it continues to serve us as a family. And so once we did our first season of travel baseball without our son living in the van, then we were able to see how we wanted to remodel things so that it suited my husband and I. And one day I was watching YouTube and watching a channel that introduced Jonnie. And in that channel, in that video, the person talked about Missouri, Jonnie being in Missouri. And I said, oh my goodness, there is someone in the Midwest that does this? Oh my goodness. And so I talked to my husband and I said, I think I have the person. Let's see if she has availability. And he said, go for it. I emailed Jonnie, and in 4 hours, she emailed me back. And the rest is history. So Jonnie and I talked over the phone. She wanted to know more about exactly what I was looking for. My husband and I had talked about it. I had a list of the major things that we were looking for, and she felt like she could do everything that was on our list. So we came up with a date, and she was here when she said she was going to be here, and right away, literally got to work. The things that we needed differently. When our son would travel with us, we had a bed at the top, a queen size, and a full size under our queen size bed. Well, he travels with a team. He doesn't travel with us anymore, and that was like wasted space there. But what we did need was more space for a lot of equipment that we didn't have to take previously, because we were doing, in essence, winter ball. And that takes a lot more coats. It takes just a lot more boots and things that we didn't take before when he was doing travel ball in the summer. So what we were doing is just kind of shoving things back on top of that bed, and it was just very inefficient. So we knew quickly that the garage needed to be changed up into a garage and no longer a bedroom, because it was like half garage, half bedroom when my son was traveling with us. So we had that as part of what we wanted to do. We had a very big closet and drawer for clothes set, and we found out that we didn't need it to be that big. We needed something more practical, narrower, smaller, and we talked about, okay, what do we really use here? How can we make this more practical? We also had a third seat with a seat belt. Well, we no longer needed that, and what we really wanted instead was more like a bench kind of seating, so that more than one person can sit in that area. And also my husband, while we're traveling, he normally works, and so we wanted a swivel table, and so we wanted that to be attached onto the bench, so it gives my husband more room and more flexibility to be able to stand up and sit down. What we had before wasn't a fixed table. Well, sort of. It was attached to the wall, and you'd have to bring it down, and then if you wanted to move, you had to put it back onto the wall, and that was kind of a pain. So we knew that we needed to change that area too. We also wanted to put the refrigerator and the coffee pot and the microwave all in one little, like, I don't know, stacked up. And but we had a big problem with our small refrigerator, because I do a lot of cooking when we're on the road. So we needed Jonnie to also fix the door where we would pull in and out our water system jugs. That one was not efficient, and quite frankly, our whole cabinetry, like the kitchen galley, you could say, cabinet, was quite unfinished and rough looking, and we wanted her to clean that up. We also asked her to do a flip table for the person that's sitting at the passenger seat can also utilize that flip table. And also, if I'm cooking and I need more counter space, which happened a lot, I can use that flip table as well, and she also did that. She also did some smaller things like some electrical situations that we had. She gave us her suggestions and helped us out with that. We actually put in a new floor. That was unexpected, and it looks great. We needed a swivel chair for the driver's seat, so she did that, and that turned out great. So we had our list together, and we sat down, and she just started knocking everything out. And let me tell you, she did a great job, a fabulous job, and it looks beautiful. Now I have to start painting. That's my job. But it looks beautiful. In the bench, she even made them like to where we can store things on the inside. So that's going to be very functional. So she did a lot of very utilitarian changes and aesthetic changes. And so we are already ecstatic at the changes. It just feels better, it looks better, and the flow seems to suit us better.
All right, guys, everybody in van life wants to know, where do you guys go to the bathroom?
Oh no, not that one. So yeah, I think we're gonna end up in marital counseling over this one. So she insists on having like a bucket, right, with this little portable toilet seat, and then she has these like nice, I guess they're like double sealed type of like sort of, I call them like Ziploc packets. And she just gets such a kick out of like handing them to me, right? Like as we're fueling up. Oh, just toss this out, which is horrible, right? Like I mean, it's that's not what you think of. Like when they're selling you the whole marriage thing, right? They don't tell you that. but they do things like that. And then so yeah, me, I'll either hold it or find the tree or something, I think. So
He
okay, no, I don't
refuses.
find trees, no.
He
But,
refuses
yeah,
to use it.
I'm not going in there. There's something about it that just seems wrong. I'm always concerned that she might like peel out or something, and so I just won't do it. I haven't done it yet. She says it's comfortable. It's great.
It is.
And I have to say, no accidents.
No
in that.
accidents.
So she's got a great track record, but no, it's Walmart's, or I hold it. I can hold a really long time. But that's how I do it, because I don't know. I can't.
And he doesn't have the middle of the night situation.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with my 5-gallon bucket. It is very comfortable.
Right.
Nice.
And he gets to throw it out.
Yeah.
So did you guys name your van?
Yeah. This is Vamonos. It's Vamonos. The Vamonos van, or yeah, we just call her Vamonos.
In Spanish,
Yeah.
that means let's go.
That means Vamonos.
Let's go.